What's up, guys? This is Damien with Hosh Online, and like I promised, I know I may be a couple of days late, but life. But here is the overview of the Evo 4G LTE. First, with a few specs, this thing is a 4.7-inch Super LCD display, HD display, 1.5 gigahertz dual core Snapdragon S4 processor, 8 megapixel back camera right here, and a 1.3 megapixel front facing camera right here. And it also has, this is what I love, a dedicated camera key. And it also has the world famous, I think every Evo, it's not a real Evo unless it has a kickstand. Kickstand's back. I know I probably just made a lot of enemies by saying the kickstand thing, but it also has, it's 0.35 inch thick, which, you can say these specs all day long, but I mean, you really have to feel this in your hand in order to be able to understand how thin this thing is. I've had the Razer, I've had, I have the Galaxy S2, and they're both pretty thin devices. The Motorola Razr feels a lot more solid than the Galaxy S2 because of choice of materials. Everybody knows that Samsung is notorious for plastic phones. Don't really have a problem with plastic phones, but you definitely feel the difference. Motorola phones a lot more solid, and I think this is a perfect mix because you just feel the quality. It just feels solid, sturdy. Uh, it also has 1 gigabyte of RAM, and it is featuring, love it or hate it, Sense overlay on top of Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich. Now, I'm going to start with some of the things that are great about the Evo, which is not hard because pretty much everything is great with with the Evo 4G LTE. The Beats audio is awesome. I can't demonstrate it right now because Beats audio kicks in when you have something headphones plugged into the headphone jack or auxiliary cord. If you have an auxiliary input into your car stereo, the Beats will kick in, or radio, whatever you put in this little hole. Pretty much the Beats by Dre kicks in. You can enable it or disable it if you're not a fan of Beats, but I really wouldn't suggest you disable it. You got to really hear it for yourself, but it pretty much makes everything you listen to great, excellent. You can say whatever you feel about Beats by Dre headphones, but the EQ enhancement really is excellent. And I don't see why anyone would want to turn it off. Battery life. Battery life is pretty good. This thing has I think it was 2,000 milliamp hour battery that's non-removable. Keep that in mind. It's a non-removable battery, but it's pretty great. I'm a very heavy Android user. I really tax my phones when I use them. And with heavy use, I got 7-8 hours, and I'm talking heavy use, multiple YouTube videos, constantly updating, web browsing, app browsing, just doing this all day long. I really put my phones to the test, and even with that, 7-8 hours. So, the average person is not going to use their phone that way. So if you do a little bit lighter than that, I can pretty much see you getting a full day's use out of this battery. And I've only had it for maybe 2 days. I got it the launch day. Now as far as software is concerned, with HTC Sense, some people, it's kind of like love it or hate it. I think compared to all the other overlays, TouchWiz, LG's basically faux TouchWiz, and stock ice cream sandwich, I like Sense 4. I've always liked Sense, but I especially like Sense 4. Sense started to get a little too much in your face, and with the innovations that came with ice cream sandwich, even I sometimes wonder, like, what is HTC going to do? Because I mean, ice cream sandwich looks great. I don't think that Android needs an overlay per se anymore. But what they've done with Sense 4 is a pretty good job. I mean, you still feel as if you're using ice cream sandwich, which you are, because this is running. I'll show you here. About phone. It's running Android software version. So used to the Galaxy 4.0.3, which is ICS. And it feels like you're running ICS from the pull down and the menu. While things, some things are a little bit different. It's still ICS. And some things are even better. I like the new multitasking. I think, just that visual overlay is pretty good. And I like it. The stock Android multitasking button, it's great also. You can fit more on the screen. But, I'm a guy who kind of likes, a little bit of little visual flair, a little bit more. Also, some of the improvements. Now, this is what I do not like. Even though the app drawer is, you still scroll from left to right. I like the transitions and, the way it feels on stock ICS a little bit better than the way it feels on Sense. So that's one thing. Now, I do like that you have the Play Store. I'm not sure if you have the ability to get to the Play Store without just hitting the app, constantly there in the app drawer. But I also like, this is one thing, is search. So I can just type in my app and look for whatever it is that whatever app I'm looking for. And if you're like me, you have tons and tons and tons of apps. So you can spend all day long going left, right, and also you have the option of pulling up your most frequently used apps and downloads. I don't really use downloads because pretty much every app I use is a download. So it pretty much is just the same as that regular app drawer. But frequent, that's pretty good, and the searchability is pretty good. Pretty good. Reminds me of Go Launcher. So that's great. I like the weather app that comes with Sense. I've always liked it. Once again, visual flair. I mean, you could probably use a lot less memory and processor if you just went with the standard weather channel type um, screen. But for those who like the visual flair, it's a great option. I also like the way you add widgets. I like the animations. I can just swipe left and right, find my widget, or I can pull this up, this drop down, and in alphabetical order find all my widgets, or I can search for my widget. And one of the reasons why a lot of people like Android, pretty much everyone I've ever noticed that has any type of affection towards Android, is options. So I mean, you just have more options. You have the standard way of doing it. Well, actually, you don't. You can't just find widgets in the app drawer and do it that way. But it gives you some options. Now, another thing that I love about the HTC Evo 4G LTE is I highlighted the fact that there's a kickstand on the back now, but they did make the change to where you can use the kickstand this way, and if you need to charge it, it also works this way. And if you just want to look at it like this, it also works that way. So there's 3 ways that you can use this kickstand, which is great. Another feature is the camera. I think that is one of the biggest reasons someone might go to the Evo 4G LTE or any 1 series device is the camera. If I want to take a picture using you can use the on-screen camera button, or you can use the physical camera button, but it takes amazing pictures and it takes them very fast. I think it's something like 4 pictures per second, which is more than enough, especially if you're taking pictures of walls like me right now. Also, you have the ability to, while recording video, to snap a picture as such. You can see them popping up in the bottom right hand corner, all my pictures, which is pretty awesome. The Evo 4G LTE really is, as far as I'm concerned, the best device out right now, and it's you'll be hard pressed to find another device that is as good as it between battery life, uh, hardware design. I mean, this thing is built rock solid. It's just really nice in hand. People talk about the way it looks. I was actually one of those guys who really felt like the 1X was perfect, and I really didn't understand why, even though I knew Sprint would change it because Sprint changes almost every device that they get, but sometimes that's for the best. And I also feel like while I didn't believe it at first, they did do it for the best with the Evo 4G LTE because white phones, the 1X being included in those, they get grimy. I've seen 1Xs that are brown 1Xs from all the gunk that people have on. Yeah, and you can argue that's hygiene, which you could be right, but still you don't have that problem with the Evo 4G LTE. I like the way it looks. I didn't at first. When you see it in person, it's definitely a lot more handsome than it is over video or a picture. So go check it out at Sprint, Best Buy, wherever. One thing you want to keep in mind though is there is no LTE available now anywhere, not on Sprint. So you're going to be stuck with 3G speeds, which can go from okay to horrible. Um, I've been running some speed tests, and I give you a peek at what I've been able to do, and these are my results. It's definitely nothing to brag about, but you see here we're 1.03. Sometimes I get that, and if I'm getting one, that's pretty much good enough to emails, videos, whatever. But you're not gonna get above that. When LTE kicks in, it'll be a lot much better. It'll be a lot better, but until then, you're kind of stuck with that. So if you're a big data user while you're out and you're in a good 4G WiMAX area, you might want to hold out until your area can get access to Sprint's LTE. We're all holding out. But this is a future-proof device. Another thing I want to mention is call quality. Call quality on the Evo 4G LTE is awesome. It's the first device I believe on Sprint that's going to feature HD voice, and while I haven't had a chance to try that out, regular voice is awesome. It's a big step if you're coming from the Epic 4G Touch. It's a big step over the Epic 4G Touch. Voice is just so much more clear and crisp on the Evo 4G LTE than the Epic 4G Touch. Uh, Also, I've tried, the original Evo, the Photon, the Nexus S 4G. None of them have as good a call quality as the Evo 4G LTE, in my opinion. Um, it's really a winner. I don't really see why anyone would not get the Evo 4G LTE currently if you're in the market for a new Sprint smartphone, unless you're holding out for the Galaxy S3, which what is rumored to be released next month. But it's a real winner, guys. Go pick it up. Unless you're big on data, you definitely are gonna love it. It's very smooth, like buttery smooth. So this is Damien Hosh Online, an overview of the Evo 4G LTE, and stay tuned because we're gonna have a lot of fun with this thing. We're gonna root it later on, so there'll be a video on how to root if you've got access to an Evo 4G LTE, if you're one of the lucky ones who pre-ordered. And stay tuned. There'll be a lot more videos on this great device. So, peace.